All right, everyone, welcome back. Today we're gonna really take a deep dive into the world of One Tree Hill fandom.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah. Specifically, we're exploring what makes certain characters from the show resonate so strongly with viewers, even years after the show ended.
Definitely.
So to help us with that, we're looking at a best characters list from the top10s.com.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And the top10s.com is basically a website where fans can create and vote on top 10 lists for tons of different things.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. But, what's really cool about using this particular list as our starting point is that it's not just a straight up popularity contest. The comment section for this list is full of insights
Oh, nice.
about why fans love these characters so much,
Yeah.
what moments from the show really resonated with them, and even why some characters are so divisive,
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people have strong opinions about certain characters. So we're not just going to list the fan favorites or anything like that. We're going to
Wow.
really analyze why these characters stand out, explore their strengths and flaws and the emotional connections they spark with the viewers.
I'm into it.
I'm already seeing some familiar names popping up right at the top of this list. Brooke Davis, Nathan Scott, Peyton Sawyer, and Haley James Scott.
All the classics.
Yeah. Those four appear multiple times, so clearly they left a mark on the fans.
Definitely.
But what is it about them that makes them so unforgettable?
Well, maybe we should start with Brooke Davis.
Yeah, okay.
Fans always praise her strength, inner strength, and her character development. I mean, one fan even said, the way she grew throughout the show encourages me to be a stronger and better version of myself.
Wow.
But it's not just about her strength.
Okay.
It's about the kind of strengths she has.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, so Brooke starts the show as this quintessential popular girl,
Right.
right? Obsessed with boys and appearances.
Yeah.
But by the end, she becomes a successful businesswoman, and this really fiercely independent woman,
Yeah.
and a loyal friend. And her journey is even more interesting when you remember that the show is set in this really small town.
That's true. Tree Hill isn't exactly a bustling metropolis with endless opportunities, right?
No, not at all.
So for Brooke to find that level of success in a place like that says a lot about her determination and resilience.
Exactly. She kind of challenges those expectations that are often put on, especially young women in small towns, and she makes her own path.
And for some fans, she's the entire reason they watch the show.
I could totally see that.
That's how good her storyline is.
Yeah.
All right, next up, Nathan Scott,
Oh, yes.
whose transformation fans seem to find equally as compelling.
Oh, definitely. Nathan's character arc is I don't know, considered by lots of people to be one of the most satisfying in the history of teen dramas.
Wow.
As he starts out as this stereotypical arrogant jock, but he evolves.
He does.
He ends up this devoted husband and loving father,
Yeah.
who is actively trying to be better than his family's past,
It's a pretty stark contrast to his dad, Dan, who we'll definitely discuss a bit later. But
Right.
fans seem to really love that Nathan chose a different path than his dad, embracing his family and responsibility despite his difficult upbringing.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think is the key to Nathan's appeal?
I think it's probably the combination of his personal growth, which is huge,
Yeah.
and the way he embodies traditional values like commitment and loyalty.
Okay.
He goes from this really selfish teenager
Yeah.
to someone who puts his family above everything else.
Yeah.
And I think that resonates with a lot of viewers. Yeah, definitely. They find it both relatable and aspirational.
Okay, and speaking of strong female characters, we have to talk about Peyton Sawyer.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
A fan favorite.
Yeah, fans describe her as a badass who faces trauma with incredible courage and determination.
Peyton's strength is more introspective, I would say. She's
Okay.
this really deep thinker,
Yeah.
and she processes her emotions through creative expression,
Yeah.
which a lot of people do.
Totally.
And she confronts her past traumas head on. She refuses to be defined by them and ultimately finds healing and self-acceptance.
So while Brooke's strength is more external, focused on her career and achieving outward success,
Yeah.
Peyton's strength is in her self-awareness and emotional resilience.
Exactly.
And she's also fiercely independent.
Uh-huh.
and always stays true to herself, which really resonates with a lot of the fans.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, now let's move on to Haley James Scott, who many fans call the heart of the show.
Oh, Haley, love her.
Several comments on this list even call her the best character of all time.
Wow.
Which is like a big statement.
It is.
She's not just a wife or a mother. She's a teacher, a musician, and a pillar of support for all her friends and family.
She does it all.
She does it all.
It's amazing.
So why do you think she resonates so deeply with the viewers?
Haley has this groundedness and authenticity that you don't always see in teen dramas, you know?
Right.
She's incredibly intelligent and talented, but she's also incredibly kind and compassionate and loyal.
Yeah.
She goes through a lot of challenges, but she always faces them with grace and strength.
Yeah.
And she always, like, puts the needs of others before her own.
She's the ultimate best friend.
She is.
And the kind of person you can always count on.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that even with all her, like, accomplishments, she never loses that, like, down-to-earth quality. Well, she's still relatable even while she's, doing these incredible things.
Exactly.
Okay, we've covered the leading ladies of the show, but now we have to talk about Lucas Scott.
Okay.
One fan on this list said Lucas Scott was One Tree Hill.
True.
He is at the center of, the whole story.
Definitely.
And his journey is a roller coaster of emotions.
It is.
So what do you think is behind Lucas's appeal?
Lucas's appeal is, it's pretty multifaceted.
Okay.
He starts off as this, like, brooding artist, navigating complex family dynamics.
Yeah.
And kind of feeling alienated from his peers.
Yeah.
And this whole brooding artist thing is like a classic in teen dramas.
For sure.
And it often resonates with viewers who maybe, identify with feeling like an outsider or, they're trying to figure out where they fit in,
Totally, yeah.
But Lucas, he also, like, grows significantly throughout the series.
Yeah.
Like, he makes mistakes, but he learns from them, He makes tough choices, but usually ends up putting the needs of others before his own.
Okay.
And his capacity for love, like, especially for his family and friends, is huge.
Yeah, that's a big part of his character.
It is.
Now, one thing that stood out to me was that one fan specifically mentioned loving season 1 Lucas.
Oh, interesting.
Why do you think that is?
It could be nostalgia, maybe,
Yeah.
for that, like, initial brooding persona. As characters grow and change, sometimes viewers connect most strongly with that, like, first version they saw.
Oh, that makes sense.
The one who embodied a certain mood or a particular stage of adolescence.
Okay.
So they might miss that rawness and vulnerability that early Lucas represented.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Okay, now for a character who sparks a lot of debate, Dan Scott.
Oh, boy.
He's
complicated.
Yeah, he's a very complex character.
Yeah.
Some fans just, they hate him,
They do.
For his actions, especially how he treated his sons, and obviously for killing his own brother.
Right.
But then there's this other group of fans who find him, like, completely compelling. They acknowledge his flaws, but they also appreciate his attempts at redemption later in the series.
Yeah.
Like, he saves Jamie from Nanny Carey. He takes a bullet for Nathan.
Right.
And then he ultimately sacrifices himself to save Nathan's life.
It's a complicated legacy,
Yeah, it really is.
to say the least.
One fan's comment really stood out to me. When he died, I cried during the whole episode and even after.
Wow.
So clearly, Dan, evokes strong emotions.
Yeah, on both sides.
Yeah, positive and negative. Why do you think that is?
Well, it's the duality of his character.
Yes. Okay.
He's capable of great love, but also terrible cruelty.
Yeah.
He's a master manipulator. He's cunning, and he really needs to be in control. Yeah. But, you do see glimpses of regret, of vulnerability. Like, he's wrestling with his own demons.
Yeah.
Underneath that, tough exterior.
Like, he's battling between those darker impulses and this desire to be, a better person.
Exactly.
Especially to his sons.
Yeah.
And that internal conflict makes him so captivating, even if you don't, always agree with his actions.
Yeah, totally.
All right. So we've dug into the main characters.
Yeah.
But what about the supporting cast?
Oh, yeah, they're great.
Those individuals who add, like, depth and humor and heart to Tree Hill.
The supporting characters are often the glue that holds the story together.
Right.
They give us different perspectives, and they challenge the main characters sometimes.
Yeah.
And even like steal the show with their personalities and their storylines.
Yeah. And a show like One Tree Hill, which is so character driven,
Right.
those supporting roles are super important.
For sure.
And essential. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of One Tree Hill fandom. We've already explored the the main characters and all their like complexities and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But now I want to turn our attention to the supporting cast, those individuals who like add depth and humor and heart to the story.
Yeah, they're great.
So let's start with a fan favorite, Mouth McFadden.
Oh. Okay.
One fan on the list even called him the best person on the show.
I can see that.
So what is it about Mouth that resonates with viewers?
I mean, he's the moral compass of the group,
Okay, yeah.
He's the voice of reason, the one who sees the best in everyone.
Yeah.
And he's just a really good friend.
He's definitely the kind of friend we all wish we had, right?
Totally.
But he's not just like a sweet, passive character.
No.
He's got his own ambition, his own struggles, and he has his own like unique perspective on the world. And his friendship with Brooke is one of the most like heartwarming and enduring relationships in the whole show.
It's true. And it's a really good example of like how meaningful platonic relationships can be,
For sure.
They challenge each other, they support each other's dreams,
Yeah.
and they're always there to celebrate each other's successes.
And it's a nice change from that teen drama trope of,
Right.
pitting female characters against each other.
Oh yeah, that's so common.
Like Brick and Mouth's friendship is a testament to real connection and mutual respect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now let's talk about a character who kind of represents hope and generational change in the Scott family.
Okay.
Jamie Scott.
Oh, little Jamie.
He is like a ray of sunshine in a family that's often, surrounded by darkness. He's raised by, Nathan and Haley in this like loving and supportive environment. Mm-hmm. And they're really determined to break the cycle of dysfunction that plagued, Dan's generation.
And they do a great job.
They do a great job.
I mean, he's such a good kid.
And fans adore him.
They do.
For his like maturity, his kindness, his optimism.
It's almost as if we're like watching Nathan try to be a better dad than Dan was,
Oh, right.
And it's really satisfying to see that play out.
So Jamie really embodies that idea that nurture can like triumph over nature.
Definitely.
Despite having a grandfather who did some truly awful things.
Right.
Jamie shows us the power of a positive upbringing and how important it is to surround yourself with people who love and support you.
Totally.
He's a symbol of hope, a reminder that even when things are tough, you can create a better future.
For sure.
Okay, and speaking of bringing laughs, we can't forget about Skills Taylor.
Oh, Skills, love him.
He is the ultimate scene stealer.
He is.
He's like the comic relief of the show, always knows how to lighten the mood.
With a good joke.
Yeah, or just like a funny observation. But he's also more than just the funny guy.
Right.
He's insightful.
Yeah.
And his commentary on things often reveals like a deeper understanding of the other characters,
Oh yeah, he gets it.
And he's got some of the most memorable lines in the whole show.
He does.
And I love that he's not afraid to speak his mind,
Mm-hmm.
even if it means like challenging the status quo or calling out his friends on their bad decisions.
Yeah, he's that friend who will tell you the truth, even when you don't want to hear it.
Yeah, exactly.
He keeps everyone grounded. And his humor like points out how absurd life can be sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
And how dramatic they can be in their little town.
Now, for a character who gets some really strong reactions from fans, Chris Keller.
Ooh, Chris Keller. Yeah.
Some fans find him like annoying. While others think he's like the best part of season 9.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So why is he such a polarizing figure?
Well, he's a catalyst for chaos.
Okay.
He's unpredictable.
Yeah.
He can be manipulative.
Yeah.
And he's often just looking out for himself.
He definitely shakes things up, and some viewers find his antics frustrating, but I think others appreciate how he just like brings this unpredictability to the story.
He's a wild card.
Yeah.
And that can be both entertaining and unsettling.
Yeah.
He challenges like our ideas of good and bad and makes us question if someone who does, some pretty selfish things can still be capable of growth and redemption.
He's an interesting character for sure.
He is.
And speaking of unexpected pairings,
Okay.
one fan mentioned wanting to see a Rachel Chris Keller relationship.
Oh, wow.
What do you think about that? Why might that pairing appeal to fans?
Well, both Rachel and Chris are known for like scheming, pushing boundaries and stirring up drama.
Yeah, they're not afraid to cause trouble.
No, they're not.
So you think fans are just like intrigued by the potential for fireworks?
Yeah, I think so. Like a relationship that would be super volatile, but also really entertaining to watch.
It's like a classic bad boy meets bad girl story.
Exactly.
Okay, I want to go back to Dan Scott for a minute.
Okay.
We already talked about, his complex legacy and how fans have such mixed feelings about him.
Right.
But I'm curious about his relationship with Nathan.
Yeah.
It's one of the most, I think, tumultuous and ultimately transformative relationships in the whole show.
Yeah, it's a masterclass in dysfunctional family dynamics. You know? Dan needs to control everything, and he wants to like mold Nathan into his idea of success. He pushes him really hard and even uses like emotional manipulation. And sometimes even like abuse.
Yeah, and you can see how much Nathan resents his dad. Especially like early on in the show. He rebels against him.
Right.
And he refuses to be what Dan wants him to be. And ultimately he looks for validation and love from other people like Haley and Whitey.
But it's not that simple. Good versus evil.
Right.
Dan is also a product of his own upbringing. His dad was cruel to him, and he dealt with abandonment and loss,
Okay.
And there are moments where we see like Dan's vulnerability, his regret for the things he's done.
And those moments are what make him such a fascinating character to watch. We see that he's not like completely heartless.
Right.
He's capable of feeling remorse and wanting to do better.
Yeah.
But then his actions often contradict his words.
Right.
And it creates this tension between like hope and despair.
It does.
And it's that tension, that complexity that keeps viewers invested in their relationship. We want to believe that Dan can change, that he can be a better father to Nathan.
Yeah.
But we're also aware of, his past.
His history.
And how he's hurt people.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about female friendship in the show.
Oh, yeah.
The bond between Brooke, Peyton, and Haley is one of the like most powerful
It's amazing.
and heartwarming parts of One Tree Hill.
They're like the ultimate girl squad.
They really are.
They're there for each other through everything.
Yeah.
The good times and the bad times. They celebrate together.
They comfort each other when things are rough.
They're more than friends, like they're family.
Yeah, they're chosen family.
Yeah.
And in a show that's, so focused on romantic relationships, their friendship reminds us that those bonds between women can be just as deep and as meaningful.
Absolutely.
So what do you think it is about their friendship that resonates so strongly with viewers?
Well, it's a really strong portrayal of like female solidarity, support,
Yeah.
They challenge each other to grow, but they also hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
And they never let like jealousy or competition get in the way of their love and respect for each other.
It's so refreshing to see like that kind of female friendship.
Right.
Where it's not catty or backstabbing.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is like, you see that so much.
Oh yeah, in teen dramas, it's so common.
But this is different. This is real.
And it's something that I think viewers really connect with.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to touch on a theme that runs through like the whole series: second chances. So many of the characters in One Tree Hill, they make mistakes.
They do.
And they face setbacks and they struggle to overcome their pasts.
Right.
But the show emphasizes that redemption is possible.
Yeah.
That people can grow, that they can find forgiveness, both for themselves and and for others.
It's a really hopeful message.
It is.
And I think that's one of the things that makes this show so appealing.
Yeah.
You know, it acknowledges that people aren't perfect.
Right.
That we mess up. That we hurt each other.
Yeah.
That we don't always live up to our own expectations.
Right.
But it also gives us hope.
Yeah.
That it's not too late to change.
Okay.
To make things right. To try to be better.
So where do we see this theme of second chances playing out in the show?
I mean, you see it with Nathan, right?
Okay, yeah.
He goes from, being this troubled teenager to a devoted husband and father, and you see it with Brooke. She goes from like being self-absorbed to becoming this really independent woman and a true friend.
And we even see it with Dan, right?
Yeah, I mean, to some extent, he tries to atone for the things he's done.
Yeah.
But I think it's left up to the viewer to decide whether he actually achieves redemption.
It's open to interpretation.
Yeah.
So what do you think the writers were trying to say with this theme?
I think they were saying that we're all capable of growth.
Okay.
That second chances are possible. And that even when things are really difficult, there's always like a chance for forgiveness.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
And redemption.
Yeah. And I think that's a really powerful message for viewers.
Definitely. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the One Tree Hill fandom. We've covered a lot, from the main characters to the supporting cast. And I think now it's time to like zoom out a bit and think about, One Tree Hill as a whole and why it has this like lasting impact on viewers, even all these years later.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, what is it about this show that people connect with so strongly?
Right, exactly. So what do you think it is?
Well, I think a big part of it is that the show really captures like the essence of adolescence and young adulthood. Okay. It's a coming of age story that explores all these themes that we all go through.
That's right.
Love, loss, friendship, family. And just trying to figure out where you fit in.
It's almost like a time capsule of those really intense feelings and experiences,
Yeah, totally.
that we all have during those years. Exactly. And even though, the show takes place in this small town, the themes are really universal.
They are, yeah. It doesn't matter where you grew up or what your own, journey has been like. We all relate to these things.
Yeah.
So, heartbreak, first love, the uncertainty of figuring out who you are.
Right.
And One Tree Hill, even though it can be pretty dramatic sometimes, it still manages to capture those emotions in a way that feels really authentic.
Okay, yeah.
And vulnerable.
And it's like, the characters become your friends almost.
Yeah.
People you root for, people you cry with. And even though the show ended, a while ago, you still feel those connections. You remember specific episodes, you quote lines from the show.
Oh, for sure.
And you even debate like the characters' choices.
Yeah.
As if they were real people.
Totally.
So what do you what makes that happen? Why do we connect with these characters so strongly?
I mean, that's the power of good storytelling, right?
I tell you.
It creates this world that feels both familiar and aspirational, I guess.
Okay.
We see ourselves in the characters, in their struggles and their triumphs.
Yeah.
And it reminds us that we're not alone in those experiences.
I want to bring up this one detail from the best characters list we've been talking about.
Yeah.
One fan specifically mentioned wanting to see a relationship between Rachel Gattina and Chris Keller.
Oh, interesting.
And I'll admit that pairing never even like crossed my mind. But now that I think about it, it's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, it is interesting.
So, why do you think that pairing appeals to fans?
Well, I think it's the potential for chaos,
Okay.
Like, what would happen if these two characters who are both so manipulative and unpredictable and just so good at creating drama.
They really are good at that.
They are.
Yeah.
Like, what would happen if they got together?
It'd be explosive, right?
It'd be like, would they destroy each other? Or would they somehow find like a weird kind of love in the middle of all that chaos?
I don't know. It's a good question.
It is a good question, yeah.
All right, before we wrap up this whole deep dive.
Okay.
I have one last question for you.
Okay.
What do you think the writers were trying to to achieve by, introducing characters like Rachel and Chris later in the series?
Well, they're so different from the core group of characters that we meet at the beginning, right?
They are.
So I think they were trying to shake things up.
Okay.
Like the show had already built this really solid foundation with those original characters and their relationships.
Yeah.
But to keep things, interesting, to keep the story moving forward, they needed to bring in some new energy, new conflicts, new perspectives.
So Rachel and Chris kind of represent a shift from the show's earlier tone.
Yeah, I think so. Like they're more cynical, more manipulative. They're more willing to cross those lines.
Yay.
And I think their presence forces the other characters to really look at their own values,
Right.
Their loyalties, what they believe is right and wrong.
They're catalysts for change.
Yeah, definitely.
But that change can be, messy and uncomfortable.
It can be.
So why should all of this matter to our listener?
That's a good question.
Why should they care about One Tree Hill and these characters?
Because I think it's a reminder that stories have the power to connect us.
Okay.
And to teach us. And to inspire us.
Yeah.
And One Tree Hill, with all of its flawed but relatable characters, gives us this glimpse into what it means to be human and the challenges of growing up.
Yeah. And even though it ended a while ago, the lessons it teaches and the feelings it evokes and the characters, they still resonate with people today.
They do. It's really amazing.
It is. It's a testament to good storytelling and how it can really shape our understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
For sure.
All right, so there you have it, folks.
That was fun.
A deep dive into the world of One Tree Hill fandom.
Yeah.
We explored what makes this show and these characters so unforgettable, and we had some great insights from you. So thank you for that.
Of course, happy to be here.
And thanks to all of you for joining us on this trip back to Tree Hill.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of fandom.